Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Jeremy Schumacher. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. I'm the Jer in Wellness with Jer. Thanks for stopping by and checking out my channel today. Today, we're going to do another song review. We are going to do Lower Your Expectations by Burnham. I'm a pretty big Burnham fan. I think he's very talented as far as understanding his medium. He gets like how stand-up comedy works and kind of his niche within it, with writing songs, playing songs, but like it's just so very polished. So this is off the Make Happy special, which as I'm filming is currently on Netflix. I think it debuted on Netflix, so maybe Netflix owns it. I don't know. Streaming's kind of weird, right? But yeah, Lower Your Expectations by Burnham. It is a song about relationships and dating and stuff. So my expertise, marriage and family therapy, gonna weigh in on what he has to say in the song. All right, so here we go.
We all want love. How many single ladies out there looking for love tonight? Yeah, woo that sadness out. Some more where that came from.
Bo Burnham's very subversive in his work, and again, I kind of started this by saying he's very masterful in understanding his medium. So like, he has songs where it's like timed down to the second, and so I think just even acknowledging that like he's messing with people from the get-go here, and he knows it. Like his whole thing is like subversion of tropes. So like woo that sadness out is very sarcastic of him, and I think pretty like deadpan delivery is pretty funny. Yeah, there's more where that came from, just kind of like setting up his song. So even like little kind of filler jokes that he uses in his songs and his stand-up, I think are pretty meaningful to set the stage.
Ladies, I know what you want. You want a guy that's sweet, a guy that's tough, a feminist who likes to pay for stuff, the kind of guy that gets along with your friends without being attracted to any of them. A good boy, a bad boy, a good bad boy, a half good, half bad, half boy. Loves your brother, sensitive but not weekend. Is a great lover, calls your mother on the weekend. Now you might think that this guy only exists in your mind. Guess what? You're right. If you want love, lower your expectations a few, because Prince Charming would never settle for you. If you want love, just pick a guy and love him. And if he's got a thing for feet, say fuck it, sweep me off them. Now
Okay, first verse directed to the ladies in the crowd. Very funny verse, I think. Not gonna over-explain the comedy, but it's one of those things where he sprinkles in like a lot of aspects of accuracy, or I think like truth, and then again like subverting the expectation around it. No pun intended there. So I think he does starting off with a kind of ironic approach of like, we want ladies wanting a guy who's tough, feminist, but likes to pay for stuff. So like already setting this idea of like, this is an unrealistic expectation. You can't have someone who's viewing you as like a 100% equal, like a feminist would, and not making a difference between the two genders, and then seeing there's more than two genders, but not making a difference between that approach to the dating, like guy girl. And so having a feminist, someone who respects you as a female, who doesn't look down on you or doesn't think that they're better than you at all, but also is like going to have the chivalry thing, which is patriarchal and misogynistic. And I don't think it always needs to be. Like, I was raised to hold doors, just for people in general, specifically women, but like I just do it for everyone. I'm Midwest nice, right? So I think he starts by pointing out like the inherent flaw in some of these expectations we have around dating. Like, this is something that means something to me value-wise, a feminist, but then also like this is the way that culture has raised me to expect like romance to be. This is how someone would woo me. This is how someone would win me over with these romantic gestures. And I talk about this a lot with clients. Like, romance, by definition, is like a waste of time. That's what makes it romantic. Like, stopping by your local grocery store and picking up flowers on the way is like nice, but like going across town to like a fancy flower shop and getting this big, like fancy, overly expensive thing, like that's really romantic. Like, no, that's just inefficient and wasteful. But like, that's what makes it romantic. So like, romance is kind of dumb. And I'll tell clients often, like, I'm the least romantic marriage therapist ever. Like, we don't fall in love. We just get, our brain gets awash in like hormones and pheromones and chemicals that makes us feel love, feel human connection in a way, and like then our brain stops producing those hormones and chemicals from someone. So yeah, I love this verse. I love this opening verse because it sets up of like, right, you want a feminist, but you want someone to pay for them. So like already we're off to a bad start for realistic expectations. A guy who gets along with your friends but isn't attracted to any of them, like again, like this weird standard of like, I need, this is meaningful to me, my friends are meaningful, my support system is meaningful. Yes, I agree, as a therapist, support systems are meaningful, without being attracted to any of them. Like, it's not a thing that you get to control for other people, whether or not they find people attractive. Like, human beings are attractive, we're wired to be attracted to other people. That's different than like wanting to sleep with them. That's different than wanting to like break boundaries, if we're talking about a monogamous relationship, which in this context of the song I think we are. So like again, he's showing that like these ideas that we have around dating sound like fine on the surface but have absolutely no nuance, and once you dig into it and deconstruct things a little bit, like none of it makes much sense at all. So I want you to be around a bunch of other females who may or may not be attractive, but like you don't get to be attracted to them. Like, that's so weird and controlling and insecure. Has nothing to do with the guy you would be dating in this situation. Has everything to do with your own insecurity. So highlighting that like some of our expectations on dating are not about our partner, but are really like reflections of ourselves. So I like that. Great lover, but not weak. Again, like, okay, a good boy, a bad boy. A half good, half bad, half boy. Like, Bo Burnham's very good with words. He had a song once that's just called "Words, Words, Words." Was one of the earliest things I saw from him that wasn't on Vine. I'm dating myself, right? I remember Vine, and that's kind of where he got his like comedy start. But yeah, he's very good with wordplay, and so playing around with that a little bit. Prince Charming would never settle for you. So like again, I think that's like harsh. I think that's brutal. But it's one of those things that I'll say to clients a lot is like, you are like your own wonderful, amazing snowflake. Like, you're amazing. You're the one of a kind individual. The idea that like your life exists is insane. Like, statistically speaking, it's wild that any of us are here at all in the first place to begin with, and all these variables had to come align for our lives to be the way that they are right now. And so like just from a pure existence standpoint, and so it's crazy and amazing, and that makes you super special. And yet like we all suck. Like, we all suck in our own unique way. That's the thing I say to a lot of people, like, you're the special unique snowflake, and yet like you also suck. So like being in a relationship, and this comes up later in the song, like being in a relationship isn't like about finding your soulmate or that perfect person. Being in a relationship is about like finding somebody who can tolerate your nonsense and you can tolerate their nonsense without it doing like unending harm to the relationship. And so I don't agree with the premise of like lowering your expectations. I will often talk to clients about stretching out the timeline associated with an expectation. I think the song, it doesn't fit in the music and the rhyme scheme of the song, but it's really about having realistic expectations. Like, realistic your expectations, I think, is a more accurate portrayal from my perspective as a therapist and somebody who sees relationships a lot. Like, you have to own your own stuff, and you have it. Like, everybody's got baggage, everybody's got quirks, everybody's got things about their personality that aren't great. Like, we're not supposed to be these static human beings who are like enlightened beyond compare and have reached nirvana and are like, no, like, life is a journey. It's a process. We should always be working to grow and nurture and improve. So this idea that you're going to start a relationship with somebody as like this fully formed human being who's perfect in every way is like ridiculous. Expecting your partner to be that way is also ridiculous. So realistic your expectations, I think, is maybe the chorus I would recommend. Like, finding it where somebody can deal with you and support you in the way that you need to be supported and loved without being bitter or resentful over the problems that you bring to the relationship, and finding somebody who you can complementarily you can be their complement in the same way and supporting their problems, their areas of needs, their area of weakness, support them in the way that they need and build them up so that it ends up being like the relationship makes both of you better without needing to be like codependent about it. Verse 2, one for the dudes.
The good thing is that at least men have very realistic expectations for women. He said, sarcastically setting up a second verse in a comedy's You want a girl that's nice, a girl that's not obsessed with her looks, but is insanely hot. The kind of girl that you can show to your folks, loves the movies that you like and always laughs at your jokes. A real girl, a hot girl, a really hot girl, a brand new, really hot, real doll. Wants to impress you, doesn't care if you notice, and only ever uses you to tickle her throat with. Now you might think that this girl only exists in your mind, but she's real. But last week she died. If you want love, lower your expectations a lot. You might think your dick is a gift, I promise it's not. If you want love, just pick a girl and love her, then whip out your dick and let the girl you love decline the offer. I don't want to.
Okay, he goes into the bridge a little bit there. I might have to pack it up. But verse 2, right? He's very aware of like his art and can get kind of meta with it from time to time, which I appreciate. But he pokes fun at the audience throughout, like, good thing guys have such realistic expectations. And so like that is the point I was making, and it's the point that he's also making. Like, it's not about lowering your expectations, it's about having realistic expectations. And so he plays with a lot of the same tropes for guys, like a girl who doesn't care about her looks or doesn't take time to get ready but is insanely good looking. Like, what are the odds of that? Like, how realistic is that you're going to just find like this person who you find insanely attractive, and the way that they look when they're trying to like be attractive for you specifically while you're dating and you're getting to know them and it's all new and fun and exciting. Like, what are the odds that that sticks? What are the odds that's just like natural beauty and nothing else? I would say even our perspectives on beauty, even if you're like looking at it from a scientific perspective, it's like it's about symmetry, facial symmetry, but like the way that we're programmed with Instagram filters and social media filters and CGI, and like you can have these insanely beautiful people who are professional actors and actresses, and they all are wearing makeup. Like, they're all getting touched up. They're all getting, so like I don't think we have a realistic view of that. And so this idea of like, again, I want someone who's insanely hot but doesn't have to work at it. Like, okay, that seems unrealistic, but also unimportant. Like, who cares if somebody you're dating wants to wear some makeup, or it makes them feel confident, or it makes them feel better about themselves, or whatever? Like, great. I don't think people should have to wear makeup. Dudes can also wear makeup. So like, yeah, if it makes them better or feel better or like be more confident, why is that a bad thing? So like, I don't think that's a thing that should be shamed either. He has the same kind of like wordplay bridge going with like a real girl, a hot girl, a really hot girl. And then again, he's subverting the trope of like he built this all to be reflective, first verse, second verse, male and female verses kind of reflecting themselves. And then so you might think this girl only exists in your mind, but last week she died. So like, his humor is very dark, which I again appreciate. I have a dark sense of humor. I think it's pretty funny. I think a lot of therapists, like doctors and nurses and people who deal with like kind of horrible stuff in life on a regular basis, develop that kind of macabre sense of humor. But he definitely has that, and that's a pretty funny line, again, like subverting the trope that he said subverting the expectation from that first verse. So I think that's very well done. There's a lady in the audience who just loves his joke that you might think your dick is a gift, but it's not. Like, I love in comedy shows when like there's one voice that really stands out. Either it's a really like unique laugh, or like she's lost at that joke. That was very funny for her. She could really relate. So again, like, his jokes are landing in every single line here. People are relating to him. So like, very realistic. I think like a good kind of takedown of modern dating expectations. So yeah, pretty funny stuff, and for the most part, pretty accurate. All right, the bridge.
Neat freak, I don't wanna slob. Somebody with bad head in a dead end job. Cause I won't settle for less than perfect. We want perfect children, a perfect life, perfect husband or a perfect wife. But deep down we know we don't deserve.
Okay, so deep down we know we don't deserve it. So this is the reality check that I was talking about earlier of like we're all special snowflakes and like amazing, wonderful humans, and also we suck in like our own very unique sort of ways. So like all the great things that are unique to us and the mix of variables that make us unique and wonderful are also variables that make us like unique in terrible ways. And so I think balancing this out a little bit with just like not to be a downer about it or to get depressed about it. Like I don't say like we all suck to be like mean to people. Like I think people are amazing. I think people are like super awesome and endlessly fascinating. It's one of the things about my job that's very rewarding is like getting to meet people and like everyone's so different and we all follow like kind of similar general trends, but getting to know somebody in like a deep and meaningful way shows like how interesting we all are and how endlessly fascinating we are. So I think like counterbalancing some of this, like, yes, we all suck, and like we should be aware of that. Like, we're not approaching dating as if you're like this perfect specimen and therefore deserve a perfect specimen in response is unrealistic. Knowing your flaws and kind of owning them and being aware of them and being open to working on them without being like super in your head about them, I think is the goal. So he goes on to talk about like we want a perfect life, a perfect kids, and perfect wife, a perfect life, and so it's interesting again, like what does perfect actually mean? So hearing that and then deconstructing it, I see a lot of people, and I work with a lot of people who had parents who kind of like wanted a family in a theoretical sense, but not a practical sense, or with people who like the idea of their family is very important, or the idea of having kids is very important. And so like social media takes total advantage of that. Like the people who just post the good stuff and like the trips to Disney World and those types of things, I kind of refer to it as like a mantle place or like a fireplace family. The idea of like putting your kids up on the mantle, but like not actually wanting to parent. And I think that's, I don't know. I see that a lot for people who have like that idea of like my family's perfect or like family's meaningful no matter what, and like the idea of keeping the illusion of family as this perfect thing, but not putting in the work to have like a somewhat good to healthy, maybe even an excellent family. So again, like these ideas, these things that get said, we want a perfect life, a perfect kids, perfect job. Like, what does that mean? Those are things that we say that don't actually mean anything because of how like devoid of actual depth those phrases are. Like you have to deconstruct those things and actually figure out what that looks like for you specifically, and then for potential partners. All right, but deep down we know we don't deserve it.
But we all deserve love, even on the days when we aren't our best. Cause we all suck, but love can make us suck less. We all deserve love. It's the very best part of being alive. And I would know I just turned 25.
Okay, so poking some fun. Self-deprecating humor is common in stand-up comedy. It's a good way to win over the audience where you don't seem like you know more than them. It's like he's 25 and clearly doesn't understand or doesn't want to portray that he knows better than other people. He has a different song from God's perspective where he does a little intro and like, I never want to seem like I'm better than my audience or know more than everyone or like have too big of a head. So, just saying. And then he does a song from God's perspective. So this is a joke that like he's familiar with and he's played around with a little bit. I think make happy is if you've watched all of his other stand-up, like Make Happy is the culmination of a lot of his other stand-ups, because you can see threads of jokes that he's played around with before and like workshopped and done some different things with, and they all land in this special like very smoothly. And so like again, he's making fun of like, I'm 25, I don't know what I'm talking about, but also like he's at the top of his game here, I think, just from a performance standpoint. Um, but a lot of the points that I was getting to, and a lot of things that I genuinely say in therapy to people of like, we all suck, but like love can make us suck less. Like I think that's accurate. I think the idea of like two heads are better than one, and like I'm not super cliched in therapy. I'm more cliched here for a general audience. But I think it's one of those things where like there's a lot of truth to those cliches. Cliches fall short, obviously, in providing any sort of depth or any sort of like actionable items. But like birds of a feather flock together is true to an extent. So is opposites attract to an extent. So like cliches fall apart because we can have ones that are contrary to each other and still based on some level of accuracy, some level of truth. So yeah, I think the idea of a relationship, the reason we partner off is because like life's hard and we do better having a partner who works with us and supports us and gets us, makes this easier. Raising kids together like takes a village. It takes more than two people, but having two people invested in it certainly helps too, as opposed to trying to do it as a single parent. So like he knows what he's talking about. He's very on top of it. Like it's a pretty accurate song with just, I would say that one change I would make of like, make sure your expectations are realistic, not necessarily that you need to lower them, but you need to understand what they actually are. You need to be able to deconstruct them and figure out what they mean. You can't just have kind of these like vague platitudes around what you're looking for a partner. And then you have to balance making sure you know what you're looking for in a partner with like balancing some self-awareness on your own issues and the things that you're bringing to the table that might make a relationship hard. So, very funny song. If you have never seen Bo Burnham, definitely check out his specials. Some of them are on Netflix, some of them are on YouTube, I think. He's a very funny individual, and his humor's partially so funny because he does a good job drawing from reality. So, pretty good song from a relationship perspective, not inaccurate, I would say. Pretty accurate for dating and modern dating in particular, and gonna go over my time on if I get into online dating, but yeah, pretty accurate, I think. So funny song, very articulate in 3 minutes or so of poking fun at kind of how we approach dating in unrealistic ways. So Lower Your Expectations by Bo Burnham from the special Make Happy. Check it out. All right, and thanks for checking out my channel today. Peace.